What's up, YouTube? ODST General back again with another Operation Trebuchet news update. Obviously, guys, it's been a couple weeks since our last video, as last week was a Far Isle video, so we've got a little bit to share with Operation Trebuchet, as you guys might imagine. Starting us off this week, we have a bunch of work from Spades all over the board, but he is basically going back and once again redoing the materials for the weapons. Now, this has been done before, but with new skills and new materials, he's trying to bring all the weapons not only more in line with their actual Halo counterparts, but also with one another, making sure the same materials are applied across all weapons. Trying to give them a little bit more consistent of a look and design, basically. So first up, of course, you guys are already seeing this. We have the DMR getting an overhaul there. So, of course, you're seeing the old one and then the new ones. It's also got several other variants, including a woodland and desert camouflage, as well as versions with like wood grained accents for like the foregrip and I think the handle and stuff. I can't remember what all had the accents. I could look at it, but I'm not going to. Anyways, fantastic looking weapons. He's kind of put wear on there to make them look like they're spray painted indie variants for the tan desert version and for the woodland version. However, those are not the only weapons to get overhauled. Like I said, everything is getting touched up, so that includes the assault rifles, which you can once again see with a wood-grained version here, although the standard version will be getting new materials to bring it more in line with the standard version, which we were not showing off. The same touch-up is being given to the M90, which is once again also pictured with a wooden variant here, and in this next image as well. Both fantastic looking. I actually really like this weapon. I think it looks like a really cool, like, civilian version of a military weapon, which is something that you might see in real life. Of course, you know, it's a just for fun thing. I don't know if these will make it into the mod, or if they do, obviously they're not going to be the primary thing units are equipped with. They're going to be equipped with the standard black UNSC weapons, or whatever texturing and coloring is appropriate for like the standard version of the weapon. That aside, we then go into a weapon you guys probably have known was in development for a while, but Hollywood has decided to take one of Dog's projects and try to work on it, bring it a little bit more up to date, and hopefully get it integrated into game for real this time. The flamethrower is getting some love and attention, that is. So the flamethrower has been finished for a while in the sense that the model was done, and you guys have seen it. It was sitting there textured, materials and all, and it just kind of got left behind because integrating flamethrowers into armor effectively is kind of a nightmare. It can be done in several different ways, but most of those cause a lot of server desync, so there's been a lot of concern about implementing this weapon, and they don't want to have to deal with server desync and bugs and issues resulting from the flamethrower. Some new methods and ideas have been kind of floating around for a little bit here, for several months at least. So hopefully it won't be too much longer before we can actually see this in-game and usable. I've been waiting for this thing for quite some time. I think it's going to be a fantastic weapon, especially if that flood slide mod ever ends up taking off. So Rabbit Duck Sauce, if this flamethrower gets finished, you have to finish the flood. Anyways, then that brings us over to some concept art. One of these is a revised version of the M73. So the M73 is based off of a concept art weapon. It's pretty accurate to the concept art. There's a few differences on the current model to the concept art. So this concept art is basically looking at the weapon in more of its traditional concept art variant. Getting rid of the weapons belt that's on there, and making it all enclosed into the box and everything. So it's pretty similar to the weapon we already have in game, minus a few differences. So that's something that's being discussed, as possibly overhauling or doing a new M73 to bring it closer to the actual concept art that was shown off for it. To me, a little bit more exciting, however, is the M6J carbine concept. This is something I've waited to see iterated in Halo for a long time. The M6J is talked about in some of the Halo books, which it's a carbine variant of the M6 pistol series. We don't really know much about it. I don't think it was really described in the books other than mentioned by name. So there's a lot of different potential designs for the M6J, and we just really haven't ever seen anything actually realized for this. So we've got this concept art, and Freeman's been working on this, and he's pretty open to feedback and stuff on it. A couple of other devs have also been working on M6Js for independent projects, although there's been talk of this possibly getting implemented into Optree. I've been begging for it since I found out those devs have been working on it, so really trying to push for somebody to go a little bit further on this project, so hopefully we can have this. I think this would be a fantastic weapon. Kind of a little weird thing, maybe not used a huge amount, but like airborne units would probably love to get their hands on this thing as a lightweight weapon that's got a little bit better range and, decent enough stopping power to get by. So it would be great for those people, and then like tank crews and stuff like that would probably also really like it. Speaking of more compact weapons, we have probably the most exciting news from this update, which is a completely new weapon announcement that is in development, and that is the Ma2b. Now, Reverence has picked this thing up and started working on it, and it's looking very slick. It's still obviously very early blockout stage. He wanted me to clarify that for you guys, and yeah, not much else to say on it aside from that right now. It does look, like I said, really good. I'm really liking where this thing's going. He is not 100% sure if this will actually get finished and put in a game, but I'm really crossing my fingers. I've been waiting to see this weapon model as well. So obviously this one is also based off of, I don't know if it's really concept art, but some extended media or extended lore imaging, so I'm pretty excited for this weapon. So that is everything for weapons. Let's go ahead and check out armor. We don't have much in the way of armor this week, just a couple of different images of the same helmet. These were shared by Burgess, and so basically his concept with the CMA that we've talked about before is that there's going to be different grades or tiers of CMA, so further out colony worlds would get almost modern-looking body armor, so, a little bit futuristic, but very basic compared to what you might see with the UNSC or closer to, the inner colonies for other CMA forces. So, like standard body armor instead of like plated metal body armors like you might see on the UNSC. And so this is one of those lower tier CMA helmets he's kind of started cooking up. And definitely dig it, and personally for me, I don't like this one quite as much as the previous CMA helmet that we've been showing off. But I still think it's a great look and it's a great idea for these like different tiers of CMA helmets. It kind of reinforces the idea of why so many of the outer colonies felt disenfranchised from the UNSC, and that really kind of helps drive it home. And of course, I think there was talk about the CMA and stuff just being so dated. So that's a really great thing as far as the lore and stuff goes. And of course, once again, all the CMA equipment, we might see insurrectionist variants of this getting integrated into the mod at a little bit later point in time. So that's also kind of an exciting thing to think about too. That then brings us over to the short sword and long sword here, and Hollywood's been working on those once more, basically fleshing out the weapons and some other finer aspects of the vehicle like landing gear and stuff like that. Gosh, the weapons on this thing are just terrifying. I mean, I can't even comprehend these weapons any longer. Just the ones that aren't that big and devastating by themselves come in such a sheer scale that it's just, I can't imagine the devastation from the smaller ordnance on this thing, let alone like the big nukes and cluster bombs and other stuff he is working on for this thing. It is absolutely mind-boggling. I just can't wait to see these in action, but I'm also terrified to see what these things actually look like once they're in game and actually flying around, devastating whatever poor souls end up having to face off against these things. Like I said, there was also some minor work on the landing gear tweaks here and there. I say minor, it probably was actually harder than some of the weapons for Hollywood to have to actually try to like go back and tweak that stuff. But of course, for most of you guys, you're probably far more excited about the weapons than the landing gear, so I'm not going to sit on that too long. And then we have a final look in here at the interior of the craft, which is actually the longsword, not the short sword in this case. And Hollywood's just kind of trying to flesh out, figure out what all the different screens and indicators and stuff would be. So what's showing what, these different images. And these circles were supposed to represent different areas that he was referencing in chat. Unfortunately, I didn't think to take a screenshot of the chat at the time. I'm not going to go hunt it down. But I just wanted to give you guys a better look at the interior of the longsword because we haven't really had a good look at it in a while. So there it is. Alright, that brings us back to Reverence and Hank. So Hank's been getting a little bit more love here, kind of get a little bit closer to completion. He was messing around with him in live streams this past week. So he started doing some textures and stuff. Now, I don't know if these are just kind of placeholders to get a better idea of how the UV unwrap was done, or if these are actually intended to be a texture that we will see on Hank, our UAV here. I don't really know what the plan is for that exactly, but it is, once again, an updated image. Of course, some of the model is missing there. As you can see, the top part's not supposed to be floating, if that's not obvious. With that being said, though, not much else to say about Hank, so we're going to keep moving on. We got also a surprise this week from Can1Mex returning to the mod. He's been inactive for a little bit here, but he got drawn back in. And he's working on trying to get the Spade finished. Of course, another vehicle I've been waiting for a while is another civilian vehicle. Civilian vehicle is feeling pretty lacking in the mod. So this is something I want to see for a while. Of course, a lot of people have also begged for an insurrectionist variant to this with some sort of weapon strapped to the back, or the ability to, just at least get up and like shoot, forward from a rear-mounted position or something. So with that being said, looking great so far. There is still quite a bit more work to do from my understanding, but at least what he's done since he's been back is fantastic. He really has nose to the grindstone. So Can1Mex, thank you for returning, sir. Really rooting for you to get this thing finished. We wish you luck with that. And then that brings us over to First Contact. So Oshin has been kind of surprising us. He's been kind of quiet here a little bit recently. Apparently shifting his focus to other First Contact stuff, and he's created what he calls the Space Pickle. What others of us might call the Terror of UNSC Max stations. Of course, this is the Covenant bomb from Halo 2. I don't know exactly what his plans are for this, but I assume it's going to work as a functional bomb, and it's going to be absolutely terrifying. Really looking forward to seeing where he's going with this too, but once again, not much details on it as far as functionality or any other details as far as variants or any differences from it, so we'll have to wait until we hear more on that. That brings us over to Milton, who is now officially a Operation Trebuchet dev, and he showed off a image of his 343 Guilty Spark model a little bit further along in development. It hasn't seen much changes since the last time we saw it, but a little bit of an update since then, so that's of course always welcome. And then last but not least, sticking with the theme of Foreigners, we have Big Wilk showing off his materialed and textured Sentinel drone. Of course, this one seems to still be missing its beam weapon platform. However, with that being said, fantastic looking model. Fits really well with the other Forerunner stuff, it looks like. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this thing actually in game and floating around and lasering UNSC Marines who just were minding their own business. But no, it's going to be fantastic. Other than that, guys, that is everything we have for Operation Trebuchet this week. So once again, next week we'll probably be back to Far Isle, depending on how much content I have to show. But that one way or the other, we'll have some more Arma Operation Trebuchet or Far Isle to come next week, next Friday. All right, guys, thank you for stopping in. As always, I want to know what you guys are looking forward to the most in the future of Operation Trebuchet. What do you guys want to see the most from today's episode? Let me know in the comments below, and take it easy.